Coming up on today's show, we go inside the mind of UFC Liverpool headliner Darren Till as he explains what it means to live by the Warrior Code. John Gooden goes one-on-one with Swedish light heavyweight contender Aleksandr Gustafsson as he prepares for a return to action. Welsh bantamweight Brett Johns looks back at his spectacular first-round calf slicer. And we take 5 with Dan Hardy to find out what he's picked as his all-time favourite late finishes in the UFC. Welcome to UFC Connected. In 2018, the UFC will hold an event in Liverpool, England for the very first time, headlined by local hero and proud Scouser, Darren Till. The 25-year-old has had a meteoric rise up the welterweight rankings and now finds himself knocking on the door of title contention as he prepares to face Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. With this being his second main event slot, Darren's being considered amongst the division's elite. He gave us his thoughts on what it takes to compete at the sport's highest level in Warrior Code.
I'm the most confident person in the world. There's no one more confident on my level. There's no one who believes like I believe. There's nothing in my head that says, oh no, you can't do that. I just believe it. I say it, I believe it, and I think it and I believe it. There's no knowing that I'm going to do this. I know I'm the best. It plays a role in every part, even the weigh-ins. People say the weigh-ins doesn't have much of an effect, but I feel like when I'm standing in front of my opponent, I'm zapping his energy. You know, Cowboy, I just felt like when I stepped in front of him at the weigh-ins, I just zapped all his energy and I just took it for myself. And his belief was now my belief, and I took his belief away from him. What motivates me is just to be the best of all time. Not the best in my division, not the best in the UFC, the best MMA fighter of all time. For me to do that, there's none of this staying in one night because you're tired, because your body's hurting. It's got to be every day, it's got to be constant. That's what it takes, I believe. You just got to never forget why you go in the gym, to be the best. If I have a bad day or something bad happens in my life, I don't really take it out on the gym and not go to the gym. I go to the gym even more and work even harder. What people who don't fight won't understand is it's not just going in there and punching each other and trying to submit each other. There's so much more feelings and emotion and the mental side of things to deal with, you know. I might not show it, but the level of fear I have is just so high. My belly and my heart doesn't stop. It's twitching, butterflies. As soon as I step in there, everything goes quiet and I'm focused and ready. For me, fighting is all about intelligence. You'd have to read what movements he's going to do. You'd have to read what he's going to do before he's going to do it. You have to know what he's thinking, what his strategies are. You have to outthink him. You have to beat him to the punch. You have to beat him to the takedown or to the defense. Intelligence is everything in fighting. It's not heart and it's not about the strongest man. Cerrone, I was telling him that he was jittery and he wasn't thinking about what he was going to do. He was thinking about what I was going to do. If he's thinking about what I'm going to do, he's worried. He's not thinking about how he's going to hurt me. He's thinking about how I'm going to hurt him. Every fight, I'm always a step ahead. No fighter's more intelligent than me. There's no better feeling in the world than winning. There's no other feeling like it. It's not like a team effort. It's not like 11 players on the pitch have just won a football game. It's all eyes on you. However many people are watching, millions around the world, as soon as you've got that victory in your hands raised, for that split moment, you're the main man. You're everyone who people are looking up to. Yes! It's a good feeling, but I don't like to look back on the past because you can dwell on achievements that you've had in the past and they're not your future achievements. So, you know, you could be looking in the past and saying, I've done this and I've done that, but you've got so much more to come ahead, so don't be like dwelling on your past achievements. Just let them be and let the people who enjoyed them moments talk about them. You just focus for the next achievement. I sacrificed everything. I sacrificed moving to another country to dedicate myself to my art and to being the best. Fighters go and do training camps in other countries, they leave the family behind for 3 months. I didn't do that. I moved myself to a whole different country, different language, different people, different surroundings, and I stayed there until the job was done, until it was time to come back home, and I feel like the job was done out there. My daughter, she lives in a different country because of me, so that's what I call sacrifice.
One of Europe's biggest stars, Alexander Gustafsson, is shaping up for a return to the octagon. After being involved in some of the most memorable fights in UFC history, he was sidelined with an injury. But now the two-time title challenger is back in training and aiming at making another big run this year. So we sent UFC commentator Gooden to Stockholm to go one-on-one with the mauler.
Alexander Gustafsson! Oh, big shot by the Mauler! Alexander Gustafsson!
So Alex, we're here at the All-Stars. Haven't seen you for a little while. How have you been? What have you been doing?
I've been good, thank you. I've been working on my injury, rehabbing a lot, training a lot, being with the family, being at the gym. Same old, every day.
So what was the injury? Was it a shoulder or collarbone issue you had?
A little bit of both. The collarbone just got loose from the shoulder joint, and I had operation on it. And with 3 screws and a metal plate inside, and I took it away end of November.
Right.
And I've been working out, doing my rehab and everything since then, so.
Good to go.
Good to go, and I feel good now.
Well, let's talk about the last time I saw you and when the fans saw you in action, which was the Glover fight. I mean, what a great performance. Glover is so tough. How happy were you with that result?
I was really happy because I had a really tough time when I fought Anthony Johnson, and I had a lot to prove. You know, like you said, Glover is a really tough guy. Everything went well. I knew what he had, what kind of weapons he had, and everything just came to place. I felt good the whole fight. I just felt like he was just getting tired after every round, and I could do this for 10 rounds.
You have to wonder what DC and Jones are thinking right now if they've seen improvements in... Oh!
Yeah, it was an amazing feeling.
You then cap the evening by proposing to your then girlfriend in what was one of the most magical moments, I think, that we've seen in the octagon.
I believe he has one other thing to say. If we could just have a moment, ladies and gentlemen.
Can I just give me a moment? Can I ask my girlfriend Moa comes up to the cage? I love you and thanks for having a kid or baby. I love you with all my heart, and do you want to marry me?
You know, I took a risk. You know, I wouldn't probably propose if I lost that fight. I was thinking, like, let's do this now, and why not after a fight against Glover in my hometown?
Ladies and gentlemen, congratulations to Alexander Gustafsson and his beautiful fiancée. Make some noise.
John Jones, a man who you had one of the greatest fights in UFC history in 2013. What a fight that it was. When I mention that fight to you, what immediately comes into your mind?
It was a great performance from both of us. I put it behind me that I lost the fight. I just see all the positive things with it.
Gustafsson with the takedown. First time in the UFC. By Gustafsson, that's incredible.
Even if I lost that fight, I gained so much from it. After that fight, I knew I had the right skills, and I'm on his level. If I'm going to step into that cage and that octagon again against him, I'm going to have that with me, that I know that he's not unbeatable. I know he bleeds. I know I can beat him.
That might be the greatest title fight in the history of the light heavyweight division.
It's probably one of the best experiences I had in my career so far, to have such a battle with the best guy out there.
The best guy in the division right now is the title holder, Daniel Cormier, another guy that you had a super close fight with. Do you think you did enough to beat him on that night?
I think I did.
Oh! Big shot by Lamar!
I think I did enough. I just walked into his game in that fight.
Good shots by Cormier. Hard uppercuts by DC. And a good left hook by Gustafsson on the break. But those uppercuts by DC in tight were excellent.
He got one or two many shots at me. It wasn't any lethal shots, but you know, it's still points. He's a competitor. He knows how to win, no matter what.
What a title fight! Sensational main event. They're gonna go the distance. Outstanding! Wow! And still.
If you fought him this year, how would things be different?
I'll beat him. I'm not going to stand in his pocket and get uppercuts from him. It's not going to happen. I took him down one time and he took me down. He's an Olympian wrestler. I took him down even more than he took me down. So if I walk into that octagon with the right mindset and the right game plan and not respect the guy too much, next time I'm just going to see him as an obstacle in my career and I'm going to do enough to beat him. I want that fight.
2018, what does it hold for you?
Health, not being injured, training the best way I can and get that fight I want, a title shot. All my life, I've always been learning the hard way. I had to take a loss to know myself better. And after my 4 losses now I have in my career, I'm better than ever.
Have you got a plan of how you get that title back to Sweden? Is there a way that it happens that you're visualizing right now?
No, just by hard training, beat the guy in front of me, take that battle home, just prove a point. So everybody can just shut up and here I am with the belt.
Alex, it's always a pleasure speaking with you. I wish you all the best for 2018. Hopefully see you soon.
Same to you. Thank you.
Cheers.
Brett Johns entered the UFC as an undefeated prospect with plenty of hype. In just his 3rd fight, the Welshman was given the opportunity to face former bantamweight title challenger Joe Soto. Not only did Brett rise to the challenge, he managed to submit Soto in just 30 seconds and enter the record books with the 2nd submission by calf slicer in UFC history. Let's relive that moment with the man himself.
It was always a dream of mine to fight in Las Vegas. It was nice to walk in them streets at night and see the flashy lights. You know, I'm from a small village in South Wales and we don't get to see that sort of stuff. And to do it against someone like Joe Soto was amazing, a high-level mixed martial artist. He went 5 rounds with TJ Dillashaw for the bantamweight title, something that I dream about doing every night, you know. That was the test that I wanted.
Brett the Pikey Johns, the 25-year-old from Wales, coming in with a perfect 14-0 record. He's 2-0 in the UFC.
The walkout was intense. No matter who I fight, it's always intense. I walk in the cage and I'm waiting for Soto to walk in the cage. He walked in there, he was very confident. You could see he was very confident the way he walked. And as he stepped in the cage, he kind of walked towards me, you know, glaring at me. I think it was a bit of intimidation, you know, just to make sure I was ready. I think he could see I was ready, though, you know.
Fighting out of Swansea, Wales, here is Brett the Pikey Johns!
And I just remember in the fight, you know, I got to go on the front foot. I have to be on this front foot because Joe was good on the front foot himself. Going in there, put the pressure on Joe, threw a double jab and he instantly went on the back foot. Remember getting him towards the fence and thinking, right, now's my opportunity to throw some strikes. He wanted to get the fight to the mat. He shot him for the single leg, and I started setting up the calf slicer.
Nice shot by Soto. He's got to be careful here. He's attacking submission.
See another arm, and that's it. Are you serious?
That's over.
How about that? That did not take long for the youngster from Wales. That's incredible.
I really couldn't believe it, you know. I felt a tap, and you could see my face. I was really shocked. You know, I looked at the referee as if to say, did he just tap? Did he just tap? I wasn't quite sure. Celebrating the side of the cage, jumped up and started screaming at Daniel Cormier. I could just hear the breath that everybody took. They were like really shocked about what just happened. I was just as shocked as everybody else, really.
Ladies and gentlemen, the end comes officially 30 seconds. Round number 1, submission by calf slicer. We have your winner. He is still undefeated, Brett the Pikey Johns.
I've lost count the amount of times I've lost that fight back. You know, in my career, I think I've had 15 fights and 8 of them have been decisions. You know, I'm not shy about going to the judges' scorecards. And it was nice to get that stoppage. And especially over someone of Joe Soto's caliber, just made that victory that little bit sweeter. Although I got a lot of hype, this one just absolutely catapulted me, you know. Kind of broke the internet for a few hours, which was quite cool, you know. It was nice to be in the limelight. I'm Brett Johns, and that was my moment.
Now, from early endings to late finishes, throughout the years, there have been a number of thrilling stoppages in the dying stages of a fight. Dan Hardy has been given the task of picking just 5. He's been back through the archives, and now we'll find out what he's selected as his all-time favourites.
Late finishes are always pretty spectacular in a mixed martial arts fight, especially when a fighter manages to save themselves from losing a decision by getting the finish very late. Now, in the UFC archives, we're spoiled for choice when it comes to last-minute finishes, and these are my top 5 favourites. My first pick, one of the best fights in UFC history, Frank Shamrock defending his middleweight title against Tito Ortiz back in 1999 at UFC 22.
Are you ready? Let's get it on! Come on!
Frank Shamrock was defending his title. He was 4-0 in the UFC, giving up size and weight to Tito Ortiz, who was one of the rising prospects in the division at the time and one of the fan favourites. For almost 3 rounds, Frank Shamrock was ironed out on the canvas and beaten up with the ground and pound stylings of Tito Ortiz.
And a reversal. And now we're going to find out what kind of stamina Tito Ortiz has.
Shamrock trying to end it. Shamrock delivers shot. They're toe-to-toe. And Ortiz shoots it again.
But towards the end of the 4th round, Frank Shamrock was able to wrap Tito's neck up and start threatening the guillotine. That created a scramble that allowed Frank Shamrock to get to his feet, and then he landed a very clean elbow to the side of Tito's head and forced a tap.
And he's down. What a gutsy performance by the champ.
What's special about that finish is that it was the first time a fight had ended in the championship rounds in UFC history. That's why it made my top 5. Up next, we go back to 2010, UFC 117, where Anderson Silva defended his title against one of the loudest and most brash contenders that we've ever seen in Chael Sonnen. Anderson Silva is widely considered as one of the greatest fighters in history, but on that night, he was defending his belt against someone who knew exactly what he needed to do to beat the Thai boxing specialist.
He hurt him. Big shot by Chael Sonnen.
I think a lot of people, myself included, were surprised that Chael managed to shut Anderson Silva out for so long in this fight, but you can just never count out the champion. Because Chael Sonnen had talked up a storm and talked a load of trash going into this fight, Anderson Silva had a lot to prove, and with less than 2 minutes on the clock,
Triangle, watch out, triangle. It's a trouble.
he snapped on that triangle and forced Chael Sonnen to very, very reluctantly tap.
Can he choke out Chael Sonnen? He's tapping. It's all over. It is all over. Anderson Silva is never out of the fight. Got beaten for 20 minutes, locked in the triangle, and defends his title.
Jumping forward to November of 2014, 2 of my favourite featherweight fighters going head-to-head. Frankie Edgar taking on Cub Swanson. Now, this fight was going exactly how most people expected. Frankie Edgar was just a step ahead and was able to keep Cub Swanson on the back foot.
And another big takedown for the answer. Really, Frankie Edgar showing what champions are made of.
As always with the answer, though, he's looking for the finish. And with 4 seconds left on the clock, it wasn't even a proper rear naked choke, but the squeeze and the twist was enough to get Cub Swanson to tap.
That's it! Frankie Edgar gets the late finish!
With seconds to go, he pulls it off.
Dominant performance by Frankie Edgar.
Coming in at number 2, the best flyweight on the planet and arguably the best pound-for-pound fighter, Demetrius Johnson against Kyoji Horiguchi at UFC 186, April 2015. Demetrius Johnson was dominating the fight against Kyoji Horiguchi from start to finish, all the way to the end when everybody thought he was going to cruise to the judges' scorecards and get a unanimous decision victory. Then out of nowhere, he jumps on an armbar and forces Kyoji Horiguchi to tap.
He's tapping! Unbelievable! Johnson by submission!
4 minutes, 59 seconds of the 5th round, Demetrius Johnson got the armbar finish, and it still stands to this day as the latest submission finish in a UFC fight. And at 4:59, I don't see anybody taking that record off Demetrius Johnson. Coming in at number 1, and I think people will understand why I've selected this, Paul Craig against Magomed Ankalaev at UFC London 2018. Coming into this fight, Paul Craig's back was definitely up against the wall. He'd been stopped in his last 2 fights in the first round, and he desperately needed this one to turn his career around. He was getting walked down, he was getting taken down, and he was getting beaten up. Ankalaev looked like a real force. Paul Craig up against the fence, on his back, looking for a triangle, and was able to get it locked up right after the 10-second clapper went. We knew the seconds were counting down.
Oh, look at this! Beautiful work by Paul Craig!
But it just goes to show you how tight that squeeze was and how much intention Paul Craig had put into that triangle.
Big triangle set up. It's a tap! In the dying seconds, Paul Bear Jew Craig gets the win. Unbelievable!
It got him the finish, 4 minutes, 59 seconds of the 3rd round.
I look around and I see Paul Bear Jew, man. People cheering my name, this. Doesn't get any better than this.
He had no business turning that fight around in those last few seconds, but it just goes to show in mixed martial arts, you cannot count anybody out, no matter what time the fight is. It was a spectacular performance, and it was a pleasure to be sat ringside to watch it.
I'm afraid that's all we've got time for. You can have your say online by using the hashtag UFC Connected. I hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll see you next time.